In the previous clip, tagged as 2.5, we created a data API class and used it to expose data collections as objects instead of arrays. We're now ready to describe a UI for that data. We'll start with the top-level app component. We'll import it here for the React DOM call to render, app from ./app, create a new file here, app.js. This is a React class component. This app component will hold the state of our application. To keep things simple, let's put both the articles and the authors object right here on the top level state of the app component. And we'll import the data API from up1 level data API. And we'll import the data just like we did for the test. So data from up1 level test data. And we'll do a global variable here for the API. So new data API from the data. In here, we get the articles with api.getArticles, and we'll get the authors with api.getAuthors. Let's just render a div here to get things to run. So I'm going to take a look at the application now. So I see the application is rendering, and the reason I'm looking at the application here is because I want to see my data. Right here, articles and authors, and every article has that, and every author has that. Let me actually console log this .state here so that we see it in the console directly. The reason I did this is because from this point on, I'm going to describe a React application to interface this data. So the shape of this data, which now I'm seeing right here in the console, is going to be the main driver for how the components are going to be structured. The interface that we want to build here is a list of articles. Whenever you're describing a list of things, you usually need at least two components. One to represent the list itself, and another to represent every item in that list. In our case, we need an article list component, and we also need an article item component inside this article list. The app component will render this article list component. To keep things simple at first, let's pass here both the articles list, which we can read from this .state.articles, and let's also pass the authors list from this .state.authors. We need to import this component, article list, under components. This can be a functional component, so we'll do article list and render a div here to hold the list of articles. This component needs to loop over the list of articles. But since we have the list as an object now, we need to loop over the object entities. We can use object.values function to get back the list of articles from props.articles, and we'll simply map that into an array of article components. So in here, we'll pass the article component, the article object itself. We'll also pass an author object. So the author here, we have props.authors in this component, which is the object that holds all the authors. So we can look up the author for this article using article.author ID here. So now the article component will receive the article object and the author object. Also, don't forget to pass a key here because this is a dynamic child. So we can use article.id here for the key. This component now depends on an article component. So we'll go with article./article. And we'll create article. Article.js. Again, article can also be a function component here. This article component is going to receive both the article object and the author object as part of its props. And it will render this information. We'll render the article title. So we have article.title. We'll also render date and body for the article. So date and body. And let's render the author information in here. Author.firstname space author.lastname. And we'll wrap the author name with an ahref attribute. And the href here is going to be author.website. And inside that, we'll paste the author name. Okay, if we've done everything correctly, our simple React application will actually render. I've been basing everything I do here on the shape of the data as I see it in the console log. So let's go ahead and test. Fresh. Cannot find module article list. Let's try to figure out that error. I totally misspelled this, so let's fix that. Test now, and all the data is coming in here.